One of the things that I love about this draft is that there's not a lot of projection needed. These guys have played a ton of football. Every one of these guys has started at least 25 games. We don't have kind of the Anthony Richardson where we got to project out or Trey Lance where you got to project out. These guys have experience. I love that because I'm a big believer that experienced quarterbacks have more success in the National Football League. If you look at the guys that have won Super Bowls since Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl, all the way back now, basically this century, you will find that on the average, these guys play a ton in college, well over 30 starts on average, a lot of them well over 1,000 attempts in college. They win a lot of games, obviously, and it helps if they're a winner, but most importantly, they're experienced, and all of these guys are. So let's start with number one, and I don't think it's any surprise, it's Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is my number one quarterback available in this draft. Now, I have said before, and I think a lot of people, and you're going to continue to hear this, is like, well, he does a lot of things like Mahomes, and he's even better than Mahomes was in college, and all of those things are true. But let's not just stop there. I want to try to, as best I can, explain why I think Caleb is a generational talent at the quarterback position. Why is he my top quarterback in a quarterback-heavy draft? And the reason is because I find it incredibly rare, and in fact, it generally never happens, where a quarterback that I evaluate is excellent in all 5 categories that I'm trying to evaluate him. And Williams he is top-level talent in every category. And here's those categories. I talked about these categories this fall when I was talking about Williams on some of the broadcasts. Number 1, controlling the game from the pocket do you have the ability from the pocket to just stand there, receive the snap, and in a post-snap read, control the game from the pocket? Do you have that ability? I always start with that because, generally speaking, that's the thing that always holds everybody back in the National Football League. Post-snap, making decisions, controlling the game from the pocket. Do you have the ability to do that? Williams does, and he showed amazing ability to do that at times. So again, top end in every one of these categories. Arm talent. Do you have the requisite arm, and how talented is it? This guy's arm talent is off the charts. In particular, when he's out of the pocket, which I'll get to in a moment, he makes every single throw. It's strong down the field. He's accurate in the intermediate zones. He can change angles. He's got an incredibly talented arm. Category number 3, movement and creating. Can you move in the pocket? Get yourself free. Can you create without being a threat as a runner? Can you create time and space in order to be a threat as a passer, eyes downfield, and then hurt the defense outside of the pocket? I don't know if anybody has ever done that, at least that I've evaluated, okay? At least that I've evaluated, better than Caleb Williams. This is his superpower right here in category number 3, movement and creating. When he's on the move, he is most dangerous, very similar to Mahomes in a lot of ways. And the reason is because there's a combination of that arm talent and the ability to continue to know what's going on down the field. He is accurate on the run off platform. So he gets himself loose, and we've seen this time and time again, right? He gets himself loose in the pocket, he escapes, and his eyes stay downfield, and then boom, laser beam, and he scores a touchdown. Throws a touchdown. That's his superpower right there. Arm strength and accuracy on the move. Excuse me. Guy's ridiculous in that one. Number 4, can you be a threat just straight with your legs? Top end. This guy is top end, right? There's not many that were better than him. So it didn't matter if he was just creating in the pocket or outside. He could also be a threat as a runner. Just ask OU. In fact, his first meaningful football as a college quarterback was basically a 4th down run in which he was stopped initially and then ran for a touchdown against Texas in the Red River game. Sooners come back and win that game. Wasn't going well for them. They bench Rattler. They put in Caleb Williams when Lincoln was there, and that 4th down run. I know Sooner fans don't want to think about the fact that Lincoln and Williams left, but they did. And that's what we were initially graced with, was his ability to hurt you with his legs. And then the lastly is just your mind. Do you have the schematic ability in your mind to understand what's going on the football field? And he does. He has that. I've talked to him at length about schematics. I've talked to his coaches about what he understands about schematics. The guy understands what's going on. He gets the game of football. And so when I look at those 5 categories, normally, when I'm evaluating these quarterbacks for the draft, there's always at least one where you say, average to below average in that category. But he's so good in the other ones that it makes up for it, right? There's guys like that all over the place. The rarity is to find someone that is exceptional in all 5. So why is Caleb Williams a generational talent, and why is he number 1 on many lists, including mine? Is because this guy is top-end excellent in all 5 categories that I evaluate, and that's one of the most rare things in this, at least this position and profession. I would also encourage people, don't get bored with the fact that we've known this for a long time. Generally speaking, our society gets bored with greatness. You know, oh, we don't like it when, people win back-to-back titles. Oh, Michael Jordan didn't win MVP every year. Why? Because people got bored. Was he the best player? Yes, of course. Of course. And I think people got bored with Caleb Williams, and we expected so much out of him. And when their season didn't go well at USC, we all were just kind of like, well, maybe he's not the best quarterback. Yes, no. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Don't get bored with our initial thoughts. And I would just encourage people to remember that. We've known he was going to be the number 1 pick for a long time. And if he's not, I believe that is chasing ghosts. If a team doesn't select Caleb Williams number 1 overall, I think it's chasing ghosts. I mean, it happens in this sport. It happens in the draft process, but I don't think it'll happen this year. Last thing that I want to get into with Caleb here is just a quick peek in what his year was like. A lot of times, and by the way, this goes for all of these quarterbacks and a lot of these players, by the way, there was always a question from NFL decision makers, like, what is he going to be like once he gets some money? What is he going to be like in our locker room, once he's rich? And the general consensus was always that money is an accelerator. Whatever you are, you will be more of that. People don't generally change with money, right? So if you're a problem in college, you're going to be a problem in the NFL, and maybe even more so because you've got some money. Well, now we've got case studies of what these guys were like as college players with money. And in Caleb's case, a lot of it in Los Angeles. And so you're not going to have to wonder what this kid is like. Just go talk to his coaches. What was it like? And in a lot of ways, it's going to be so much easier for him going into the National Football League because it won't feel like he's in 2 different worlds where he's practicing with guys that are talking about their, English lit test and what they're going to eat on a budget. Those are some of his teammates. And he's going to his penthouse and he's making $4 million a year, right? So, that's actually kind of more difficult than what he's going to do in the National Football League. So that's just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. He didn't play his greatest football this last year, but I still think all the things that I talked about are still true. Number 2, Drake Maye from North Carolina. Drake Maye is as good as I've seen in a long, long time. Let me put it to you very simply. If it wasn't for Caleb Williams, Drake Maye would be the slam dunk number 1 pick in this draft. And I don't think that it's that close. I think that these 2 guys are separated from the rest of the quarterback pack, even some of these other really good players. This guy has talent like I haven't seen in a long time. He's a better college version of what Josh Allen was in college. He makes throws from the pocket, outside of the pocket. His ceiling is so high. Now, granted, I might be spoiled because I saw him live one time, covered their Holiday Bowl against Oregon. Those of you watching this show are seeing some of those highlights. he made a couple of throws with guys. By the way, they had some guys opting out. They didn't have a lot of great players on the outside. And this dude made some throws against a really good Oregon team that blew my mind, like especially for a young quarterback. They blew my mind. His ceiling, he and Caleb Williams make plays and make throws that other guys cannot make, both on schedule and off schedule. Okay? Like they do things that everyone else just has to tip their cap. It's like, you know, like we're about to have the Olympics. And I think I'm saying this right. In gymnastics, there's like level of difficulty. So basically, there are some gymnasts that have a higher point potential than other gymnasts. So they can afford a mistake because their routine has just a higher level of difficulty. I'm almost certain I'm saying this right? And so, like, they just have a higher potential, a higher ceiling, a higher point potential. That's Maye and Caleb Williams. They do things that other guys can't touch. They just can't touch. So the other guys have just got to like stay in their lane and do what they do really well, because Maye and Williams are physically more gifted than the other quarterbacks on the list. Let me put it to you this way. If you were going back to the Andrew Luck draft, so that's basically 10 drafts, okay? 10 drafts. And you look at basically, let's just call it the top 2 quarterbacks taken in all of those drafts. So think about some of the names that I'm about to read off. So since Luck and RG3, you've had EJ Manuel and Geno Smith, Blake Bortles and Johnny Manziel, Winston and Mariota, Goff and Wentz, Trubisky and Mahomes, which sounds insane that Trubisky was selected higher than Mahomes, Mayfield and Darnold, Murray and Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow and Tua, Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, Kenny Pickett and Desmond Ridder, 3rd round in 2022, and then Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. If you're just taking those names, top 2 quarterbacks taken in each of those drafts, and you start ranking them as prospects, how would you rate them as prospects if they were all in this draft? I think it's very easily that Caleb Williams and Drake Maye are in the top 4. I think for me, it's Lawrence, Burrow, and Williams and Maye. Like don't get bored with the fact that we have known that this guy is great for a long time. He's still only 21 years old. He won't turn 22 until August 30th. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.